Hi friends, welcome to Azure video tutorials. This session I am going to explain you about what is Azure HDInsight cluster and how to create HDInsight cluster in Azure. So let's start with what is Azure HDInsight cluster. So Azure HDInsight cluster is a managed full spectrum open source analytics service which is provided by Microsoft Azure. You can use open source frameworks such as Hadoop, Hive, Spark, Kafka, Storm, and other big data related open source platforms for your big data analytics. So let's start with the Azure architecture. So when you are creating Azure HDInsight cluster, you will be getting a header and worker nodes. So default you will be getting two header nodes. Like if you are going for a Hadoop or Spark or anything, you will be getting two default header nodes. One will be active, another one will be standby. And worker nodes minimum will be one, and based on your requirement and your uses, you can create a number of worker nodes. Each node is nothing but a virtual machine in the cloud, in Azure Cloud. And all this data, metadata and data will be storing in your cloud. And that cloud, you can use any of this two accounts. One will be Azure Data Lake Store or Azure Blob Storage. While configuring HDInsight cluster, we need to configure the storage accounts. If you configure Azure Blob Storage, the data will be storing in Azure Blob Storage. If you configure in Data Lake, the data will be storing in your Data Lake. If you look at this diagram, like if you configure Azure Blob Storage, how it will be storing. In header node, all your metadata, okay, all your metadata, all the header information. For default blob storage, it will be storing in your default account. And in blob storage, each folder, like it's a we will call as a container. Default containers it will be created, and then after that new containers will be created based on usage. Same thing for worker node. Worker node means your data. The data will be stored in your linked storage, whichever you are created in blob storage containers, multiple containers. Same thing for unlinked storage as well. You can create and you can store this data whatever you have worker nodes. So that is storage process in Azure HDInsight cluster. So the DFS, whatever distributed file systems here, that we can store in cloud. If you are using Azure Blob Storage, the storage structure like this. If you are using Data Lake, same thing here. The another diagram I am showing here. So whatever you are using, if you use Azure Blob Storage, a default account and additional storage, or if you use Azure Data Lake Store, the data will be storing in your HDFS files, and that you can access through Web HDFS API. And this is the components in your cluster: MapReduce, Hive, Spark, HBase. What are the components you are going to use? You can use those components. And this compute is always yarn based. Okay, let's start with creating one cluster. If you go to your Azure portal, all services, their analytics, you can find a HDInsight cluster. So you can create a new HDInsight cluster. I'm going to create a new HDInsight cluster. There are two ways you can create. Here you can see, go to classic creation experience. So if you click on this, you will get another wizard based option to create your HDInsight cluster. This is the default one. So I'm going to show you a classic. Okay, if you click on this, you will be getting all the information, and you need to give a cluster name here, Hive HDInsight, and the cluster will be created like this. Here you can see whatever your cluster name dot Azure HDInsight.net, because it's a cloud based, right? It will verify the name and it will confirm the name, that is you are given a valid name, and the subscription and cluster configuration. So here is the major thing. So you need to select your cluster. There's the cluster types available: Spark, Hadoop, HBase, Storm. I'm going to create Hadoop. And operating system and version. There are two versions available. Whichever version you want to select, you can select based on your requirement. And other information here you can see. These are the features will be installed in this cluster. All the components here you can see: Enterprise Security Package, Ranger, HDInsight, IO Cache, the shell access, applications, and the custom virtual networks, custom Hive Metastore. So when you're talking about Metastore here, so default will be using Hive custom Metastore, and if you want to configure external Metastore, you can configure external Metastore. The differences will be, if it is custom, if you drop this cluster, you will be losing both the data as well as Metastore. If you are storing external, so if you drop this cluster, the Metastore will be available in your database, whatever you have created external database, like this. Here you can see. Then provide the password to access this cluster. Default will be admin as a username, and if you want to access through cell, you can use this user, and the password I am giving. Okay, so I have selected this Hadoop and I have provided the username, password. Resource name, if you want to use existing resource group, you can use, or you can create a new resource group. And the location, there's a locations available, different locations. I'm using East US 2. And if you want to see that course usage, here you can see this. Okay, available and total course 60. Okay, in this location. Click on next. Next will be storage settings. So basic configuration is done. Next I am moving to storage configuration. Okay, storage configuration, as I discussed, we can use blob storage or we can use Azure Data Lake Store. And there is our latest feature, latest feature available, Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2 is available. If you want to use that one also, you can use, or Generation 1 or blob storage. I'm going to use blob storage. And there are two methods with a subscription or access key. Access key means if you have already created any data blob storage, you can use that blob storage and that key. So I'm going with my subscription, and the configure here, if you have already available, you can select, but still I don't have anything. I'm going to create new Hive HD storage. Okay, this is a new storage I'm going to create, and container, it will be created based on your name, whatever you are given name, with the time it will be created. And the storage accounts, it's optional, as I told. Additional storage accounts, if you want to use, you can use, or you can ignore. And as I told, Metastore, so default we are using internal Metastore. If you want to use the external Metastore, you can create any database, and that you can select here. As of now, I don't have any, like Hive Metastore. If you want to use for Hive or for Woozy, you can use this. Okay, default I am going to use internal Metastore, which is provided by Azure SQL. You can click on next now. And this is the complete cluster summary, means preview. All the information here you can see. Your cluster name, subscription, and the cluster type, and the version, username, and the location, and the virtual networks. If you are using anything, you can use. For example, if you want to connect other than cloud, like on-premises networks, if you want to connect, you can use own virtual networks. You can create one and you can use. So currently I am creating only for internal cloud only. Then storage account I am going to create. Additional storage I am not created anything. If you want to create, again you can go to edit, you can create. Same thing for worker nodes and header nodes, as I told. If you edit this, Here you can see worker nodes and header nodes. See, that amount is calculated per hour based on your nodes. I don't need 4 worker nodes for this. See, I'm going to create 1 worker node, 2 header nodes. Okay, and the amount is reduced now. If you want to use auto scale, you can use this option, auto scale option. There are 2 types, load based and schedule based. I have created another video separately on what is exactly auto scale option, and when we can go for this, you can go through that video. This is concept of auto scale. Okay, this is the nodes, header node 2 and worker node. Scripts, if you want to execute any scripts, you can execute, otherwise you can ignore. This is the final summary. If you want to see the again pricings, all this information, again you can go to cluster. This, if you click on this worker nodes, here you can see this, all those storage information, RAM, how many cores, okay, and amount based on your selection, that will be calculated. So I have selected D4 here, D4 version 2, D5, D13, D12, like this. We can see many are available. Based on your requirement, you can choose this worker nodes and header nodes. Okay, then so this is the final summary. I'm going to create, so validating, here you can see. So now you can click on create, it will be created. So here you can see all the notifications, submitting your deployment, and it will take at least 3 to 5 minutes to create complete. Okay, if you go to resources, whatever create available, but still it is on process. Deployment is in progress. This HDInsight deployment. Okay, so it will take at least 3 to 5 minutes, so we have to wait, and once it's done, you can access this. Okay, so you can see the status. What's the operation details also, you can see this. See, status accepted, provisioning state running, and the timestamp, duration, and your subscription ID. So one by one it is. So first it will create a storage, right? So after storage, again it will create a clusters or virtual machines. And here you can see your resource group name and your subscription, and deployment time, name. So this is the way we can go for creating HDInsight cluster like Spark or Hive. Now it is going to create a cluster. See, okay. Wait few more minutes. If you go to your all resources, there you can find this. Where is your, see, this is storage account is created for this. And if we go to containers, you can see that your HDInsight complete information will be there at the default user. Uzi, still it's going. Hadoop, apps, this version folder. So this is your default storage account we have given, that is a blob storage, and all logs and metadata information will be stored here. Wait, a cluster is on the way. Here you can use the filters if you want to. I think whatever is available here, it is displaying. If you go to individual here, it will display here once it's done. Yes, still it's going. Complete information you can see here. Duration 2 minutes 52 seconds, and HDInsight cluster, the resource name. So this complete deployment details, if you want to save, you can download this and you can keep it in any version control tool for future reference. This, see here, this is my new created cluster, HDInsight cluster. Still it's this is a complete information, and if you want to open Ambari, you can click on this link, but still it's in progress. It will take some time to open that. And if you want to see the cluster information, if you can go to cluster size, and here you can see that work nodes and header nodes, and this ongoing operational cluster, quota limit. So all this like SSH login. So you can select your cluster, and you can use this user, and if you want to reset credentials, you can reset here. Still applying the changes, means still it's in progress. 6 minutes. Okay. Notifications here. So this is the links for your Ambari home and Ambari views. Okay, still it's in progress. So here you can see we created 2 header nodes and 1 worker node. So this is the link URL. And if you want to look at other information, here you can see external meta stores. If you are using, you can click on this, it will display if you configured any external meta stores. Currently we are not configured. Same thing for storage accounts. So we default it is created one storage account, and additional storage accounts we are not created actually, but if you have created, it will be displayed here. But if you are using if you want to use the data lake store generation 1, then you have to configure Active Directory on one app for this. Then you have to grant the access. Then other properties, here you can see this is your shell and other information. Still it's in progress. So more than 8 minutes it's running, 9 minutes. Wait for another 2 minutes. Still in progress. God. 12 minutes. So it's opening Ambari. See, this is my AN manager. If you want to monitor any jobs which is executing UAE, if you want to move to your Hive, so this is the way we can go for creating HDInsight cluster. Okay, this Hive, you can see all the, currently I don't have any tables or internal or external tables. I have not created any tables, so you can create a table and you can work on this. So thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel to get more videos and updates on my channel. Thank you very much.